Yo, what's up everyone? Voss it up. This is Valoramous. In today's DJ tutorial, I want to discuss my initial thoughts after DJing my first gig on CDJ-2000NXS2s in a club or festival-like environment. So my experience as a DJ up until now has been approximately 5+ years on controllers, and I've used the CDJ-S1, which is an older 2011 model, and then I've used the CDJ-2000 for the last 3+ years. And I must say, DJing on the CDJ-2000NXS2s, while I was prepared, it was actually tougher than I thought, because when you use a controller, you are used to looking at, or you're accustomed to looking at the waveforms, and those waveforms give you vital information when mixing in music. It really economizes and hastens your decision-making processes. But on the CDJ-2000s, it was like stepping back in time. Now, fortunately, my ears are used to beat matching manually or by ear, and so the beat matching part wasn't the issue. The issue was more one of not knowing the buttonology. So there were certain functions that I had on my CDJ-2000 that were not present on the CDJ-2000NXS2s and the CDJ-900NXS2 mixer. And so when I loaded these tracks, some of the tracks, if I hit a cue point, the track would immediately begin playing, and then I didn't know how to adjust that. So that is one thing that I'm going to pay attention to in the future, is going to be certain settings on the CDJ-2000NXS2 and the CDJ-900 mixer. All in all, I was prepared, but it was a tough gig because the buttonology was slightly different, and there were certain features that I just had grown accustomed to with the CDJ-1000, such as the parallel waveforms, the pad effects. I was used to hitting echo out or a backspin effect on the pad effects, and those pad effects were obviously not present on the CDJ-2000NXS2s. So while the jog wheels were the same and most of the effects were the same and the overall layout was very similar, it was that last, I would say, 10 to 30% that was different. And that 10 to 30% was enough to increase my decision-making time, because I had to be a bit more methodical with how I programmed tracks and how I chose to begin tracks. So this meant that I had to carefully decide which tracks to program next. Now, fortunately, one thing that was great was the fact that the jog wheels were the same, the mixer, the Magville fader was the same. So when I was scratching and dropping tracks on the one, that worked the same. So that was great, especially because I was the opening DJ playing more of an open format set with top 40 EDM, Latinx, and hip hop. So when I was scratching a track, I could drop that track on the one just as I did on the CDJ-1000. So that made that great. And I was the only DJ on stage that scratched. So when I did this, it was a huge shock to the audience, that shock is appreciated, because sometimes the audience loves to be surprised, and they love to hear a new track dropped on the one, and bam, they're in an instantaneously new track with a different vibe and different energy. So that was a great aspect of the gig. But all in all, I think going forward, I'm going to consider finding a way to have more time on the CDJ-2000s or 3000s or CDJ-2000NXS2s. I may consider purchasing this gear outright, or acquiring more gigs, or maybe even renting the equipment. But I think it is worth it to find a way to obtain more practice on this system, because the more systems that you have familiarity with, the more versatile you will be as a DJ. So there you have it. Those are my initial thoughts after my first club gig, which some would say is a rite of passage as a DJ, first club gig on the CDJs. And so I'm really looking forward to the next year. I am strongly considering acquiring and purchasing this equipment. So if you have any thoughts on transitioning from controllers to CDJ-2000s or 3000s, please leave in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Thank you.